Yes, it's true. I really did it. I made a music video years and years ago. Only 2 years ago, actually, like 2.5 years ago, maybe. It was something like that, where I ranked every Brockhampton album. And that is it. That is the only music video I have ever made on my channel talking about or discussing or ranking music. And to be honest with you, not that I don't love movies anymore. Obviously, movies are still my passion. I was getting a little burnt out. So I wanted to switch some things up, and I decided there's no better way than let's listen to 100 albums in a single summer. Yeah, I really did it, and I accomplished it pretty easily, to be honest. Now, the reason why I'm even deciding to make this video is because Apple Music also recently put out a top 100 albums, and I was looking through the list and I was like, man, there's a lot of these that I haven't listened to, but I've always wanted to listen to. I'm gonna listen to 100 albums. Now, I did not want to strictly just listen to Apple Music's top 100 because that would be boring. So I kind of just picked random artists. I did specifically want to listen to at least Apple Music's top 10 and make sure I had knocked out the top 10. But I just kind of randomly picked artists and albums. Another ground rule is I didn't want to listen to a single artist's full discography unless they had like 3 or 4 albums. So spoiler alert, I listened to a few Bob Dylan albums. Does that mean I listened to like all 30 of his or something like that? No, I didn't. So if there was an artist like that who had like over 5 albums, I would only listen to 3, maybe 4. Except for one. There's one artist that have 13 albums and I listened to all of them. And you'll probably understand why. Now, before we actually begin with the ranking, I want to say, obviously, you know, if you've ever watched my movie videos, you guys know I like to talk about the movies quite a bit, maybe a minute, maybe even 2 minutes talking about it. Not happening for this. I will give very brief, maybe 1-sentence reviews for a lot of these. Until we get to the ones that I actually care about, we're gonna get like 10-second reviews for most of these, just so that this video is not 2 hours long, because that would not only put more work on you guys, but more work on me. So let's not do that. So if you guys have a specific like album you want me to actually review and go full Fantano mode, I totally will. I mean, I'm even wearing the flannel. So yeah, without further ado, I listened to 100 albums in one summer, and this is what happened. Shout out Luke the Notable. This video is going to be incredibly sloppy, okay? I have the list right here. I wrote it down so I can read it. I'm gonna read you the list to you guys so that I don't have to keep putting it down and picking it back up. So we're gonna knock out a couple, okay? Number 100, Valedictorian by Ian. Just a derivative, boring, terrible, lazy piece of garbage. Number 99, Everything Is by Neutral Milk Hotel. Their debut is incredibly garbage and way too weird and just bad on the ears. Number 98, Vultures 2 by Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign. It's god-awful. It's terrible production, terrible lyrics. It's terrible. 97, Atavista by Childish Gambino. I didn't like 3:15:20, and this one was slightly better in its production, but most of it was roughly the same for me. 96, To Be Kind by Swans. Way too long, totally not my thing. Post-rock just is not my thing. The messages were definitely there, but they were very surface level in my opinion, and took way too long to get across. The thing's like 2 hours. 95, 32 Zell by Denzel Curry. This isn't horrible, it's a fine debut, it's just nothing too special. 94, Playboi Carti's Self-Titled. It's fine, you can definitely see where he started, especially when we get to albums like Die Lit and Whole Lotta Red, but it's nothing that special. 93, One by One by Foo Fighters. Personally, I'm not a huge grunge fan, and I think this one just had a lot of fill to it. It was way too long and does nothing really special. 92, Magical Mystery Tour by the Beatles. This is my least favorite Beatles, and the Beatles is the artist that I listened to all 13 albums, just because it's the Beatles. And yeah, this one was just so not my thing. Maybe a re-listen, because I haven't listened to it since I first did it, and it was towards the beginning of the summer when I listened to the Beatles. But yeah, I just did not like this that much. And 91, ending off the below mid albums, we have Horses by Patti Smith. I know this is a very popular album, a lot of people love it. It just didn't really do anything crazy for me. It kind of just bored me. I thought everything about this one was just eh. Okay, so from here on out, the albums are mid. We are at mid albums already. That should go to show you how many great albums I listened to, because obviously I didn't want to pick stuff I was gonna hate, so I picked a lot of stuff I figured I would like. So that's why we have a lot of good stuff here. And I'll call out when we switch different stars too, okay? Except for the below 3 stars, because who cares? Okay, so we're at 3 stars right now, okay, we're at mid. 90, Inner Speaker by Tame Impala. I am not a huge Tame Impala fan, you'll see later on. None of his albums are too much higher. They're just kind of boring and all sound the same to me. 89, Bleach by Nirvana. This is a very fine debut. It doesn't really do anything to bring me back. It was okay. You can definitely see where they're getting their roots from, but it doesn't do anything for me personally. 88, Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. There's 2 repeat songs in the main album, and then you get the entire second half, which is just strictly instrumentals, so it's nothing too good in my opinion. 87 is Lonerism by Tame Impala. Production's a bit better, songwriting's definitely better, and still it doesn't do anything for me. It all just kind of sounds the same. 86, Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. It's aight. 85, Beyonce Self-Titled. This was a bit too long for my liking, and she's definitely, I think out of the 3 I listened to, this is her most not like full realized album. She grows a lot more in her other 2 that I listened to, and this was easily the worst one. 84, Whole Lotta Red by Playboi Carti. I'm not huge in this kind of subgenre of rap, so I wasn't surprised I didn't love this one that much. Another one that I think had a little bit too many songs, but I think it did get better in the back leg of the record, if I'm being honest. 83, Born Sinner by J. Cole. It's mid. It way too long. Did not need to be that long. And J. Cole is so average. He spits very average bars. His production is nothing crazy. He's fine. It's a fine album. 82, Beatles for Sale, Pre-Rubber Soul. This is easily their worst in my opinion, the one that does the least to stand out, and also has some of their worst songs, Pre-Rubber Soul. I'm sorry. 81 is Brat by Charlie XCX. I get it. I'm actually gonna talk about this one for a minute because I feel like I need to defend myself. Incredible production, incredible songwriting. Obviously, I can tell just from a listen that Charlie XCX is an incredibly talented, very realized, very mature artist that does not make music for me. That's all it boils down to. I just wanted to listen to it because I heard it was amazing. Fantana gave it a 10. I was like, maybe I'll like it. It's just not for me. And I'm sorry. But again, I respect it. It's definitely a good album. It's just not for me. 80, More Songs About Buildings and Food by Talking Heads. Definitely the weaker one that I listened to. It has some really bad songs compared to some of their other albums that I listened to, which have no bad songs. But this one also just fell a lot more flat for me than their other ones. And finally, 79, we have Cole World, or A Sideline Story, Cole World, whatever it is. Solid debut, it's fine. I even tweeted about this one on Twitter, where it was like, this album I think would have been a lot better if there weren't so many filler songs, because narratively I think he's pretty good in this one. He has a couple really good songs in here. There are a lot of songs that I still like listening to this day, but there's so much fluff in this one. Okay, we are now on the 3.5 out of 5 star records. Let's get rolling in. On Avery Island by Neutral Milk Hotel at 79. It's definitely better in all aspects, performances, production, but still just falls a bit flat for me. 77, There Is Nothing Left by Foo Fighters. Pretty generic grunge record. 76, Bando Stone in the New World, the brand new Childish Gambino. Has some good vibes, but honestly, there's nothing too special to come back to. 75, Fear of Music by Talking Heads. This one was a little bit dull in comparison to their debut and of course Remain in Light. But still an enjoyable listen. 74, With the Beatles, their sophomore record. It's fine. It's catchy. It's fine. 73, The Slow Rush by Tame Impala. Definitely improved. I think he had a bit more songs that I enjoyed on this one that was not making me fall asleep. 72, King of the Mischievous Something. King of the Mischievous Something V2 by Denzel Curry. Pretty generic rap record, but you got good beats in here, good production. I think there's a lot of tracks on here that are really short and it's making the album a bit forgettable. 71, Currents by Tame Impala. I know this is a super fan favorite album. Again, it's just not my thing. It's a little bit boring. Definitely some of his best songwriting, some of his best production, and it's his best song on this record. 70, Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. Narratively, I think the album is really good with its kind of urge of freedom, and I think Bruce really shines into that, but I think Darkness on the Edge is a little more interesting. 69, Imperial by Denzel Curry, just a very hard-hitting rap record that I just don't really come back to that much. 68, Die Lit, super creative in a lot of elements, easily his best one, kept me engaged and still has songs I'm coming back to this day, which I was not expecting. 67, Darkness on the Edge by Bruce Springsteen. This is narratively and conceptually, I think, is his best that I've heard at least. Leans a lot more in the dark side of things, and I enjoy it a lot. But overall, Springsteen does not have my favorite voice in the industry, and that's why he lands so low. 66, 2014, Forest Hills Drive. Definitely the best J. Cole I listened to. Has some of his best songs. Wet Dreams is my personal favorite, but also the production is pretty good. It's good. Again, it's nothing too special. 65, Sign of the Times by Prince. I notoriously just don't really like double albums all that much. They really drag on, and this one, after listening to Purple Rain, and then not a single song even came close to reaching like the top 5 on that album. Probably any song on that album. Not a single track on here stood out to me. It was too long. It was not my thing. Oh God, wow, I really hit 2 in a row hot takes. 64, Electric Ladyland. I'm sorry, it's Jimi Hendrix shredding on a guitar for an hour and 13 minutes. I just think his first 2 albums are a lot more interesting and more bold. I'm sorry, that's just me. 63, Renaissance by Beyonce. Definitely more mature than her self-titled. Overall, I enjoy it. It's good. 62, Please Please Me by the Beatles. Fantastic, not really fantastic. It's a good debut, okay? It does exactly what it needs to do to set the grounds for where they would go in their future. 61, Talking Heads 77. Their debut is it's good. It's really solid. There are still songs, like I hear songs in the car and I'm like, dang, this is a great song. I mean, obviously Psycho Killer, but there's New Feeling. Dude, that's a banger. 60, Extraordinary Machine by Fiona Apple. I prefer her first 2 in almost every single way, but this is still a good album. 59, A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. Step up from their first 2. I think it has a lot of their catchier songs on here. Of course, the self-titled track here is amazing. 58, Debut by Bjork. Definitely a really, really good debut. Has probably my favorite Bjork song on there, the Anchor song. Super amazing stuff here. And finally, 57, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. I'm gonna talk about this one for a minute. I think if I re-listened to it, I would like it a bit more. But at the time when I first listened to it, I hadn't really experienced a lot of music, so I was like, oh, this is really weird. And now I might like it because A Day in the Life is like one of the best songs ever made. And I didn't like it that much the first time I heard it. So I'm like, I might need to revisit this one, but this is where it's placing for now at 57. Okay, we're done with the 3.5s. We're gonna move on to the 4 stars. 56, Ferris Wheel on Fire by Neutral Milk Hotel. They kind of just put a couple old songs on here, and I think a lot of them are really beautiful. Also, I've already heard In the Airplane Over the Sea, so it's not gonna make the list. 55, Food by MF Doom. Way too many samples and skits on here. It kind of bloats the album in my opinion, but still the songs that like are good are really good. 54, Hunky Dory by David Bowie. Super enjoyable, great production, great songwriting. It's David Bowie. 53, For You by Prince. I personally had such a fun time with his debut. I think it's groovy, it's sexy, it's passionate. I love it. 52, Dirt by Alice in Chains. It's a good grunge record, but I personally still prefer their debut Facelift, which again, I've heard before, so I'm not gonna put it on the list. 51, Thursday by The Weeknd. I thought this was my least favorite in the trilogy, but it's definitely the most toxic. 56, In Utero, probably their most vulnerable record from Nirvana, but still, it's just a grunge record, which, as I've stated already, I'm not huge on grunge. 49, Bad by Michael Jackson. Not as good as Thriller or Off the Wall, but still has a couple bangers, obviously. 48, Black Star by David Bowie. Conceptually, this album is a masterpiece with its themes, its narratives, its songwriting, its production. It's all there. Personally, though, Bowie's voice kind of throws me off in this one at parts. 47, Led Zeppelin 2, my least favorite in the quadrilogy. I just think it is the least interesting. It did the least for me, even though, as I've already said, we're in the 4 out of 5s. These are all great records at this point. These are records that I actually really enjoyed. So yeah. 46, All My Heroes Are Cornballs by JPEG Mafia. I really enjoyed this. I really love JPEG Mafia. 45, Highway 61 Revisited by Bob Dylan. Super amazing songwriting. Who would have thought? 44, Help by the Beatles. Definitely their best pre-Rubber Soul record. Has some of their best songs, of course, Help, Yesterday, I've Just Seen a Face. Super catchy stuff here. 43, we have Are You Experienced by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. I really, really love it. A lot of songs I'm coming back to, and I'm like, dang, this is really, really good. Super psychedelic, and I love it. 42, Moving Pictures by Rush. What started all of this? Of all albums that could have started the 100, I picked Moving Pictures by Rush. I have no idea why, but this album still holds up. Limelight is still a song that I come back to constantly, along with Tom Sawyer. Super great drumming on this album too. I love the drums. 41, Lemonade. Definitely not top 10 worthy Apple Music, but it's a good, mature, really well written, narratively, conceptually album. Just nothing that really wows me to put it in that top tier for me personally. 40, Led Zeppelin 3. I know a lot of people think this is the worst one, but I just had a really fun time with this one for some reason. I really like it. 39, Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. Look, I know it's unanimous that this thing is great, but it's not better than Revolver. Let's be real here. I'll talk about Revolver later, but I do like this one. It's just not as versatile as some other albums that came out back then, and that's the only thing holding it back from being like in the top tier for me. But I still really like it. It's still really great. 38, Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. It's an obvious masterpiece. It's Pink Floyd. Just kind of, prog rock is a hit or miss for me, but well, not really hit or miss because I think this is a great record, but it's not one I come back to just because a lot of the songs are really long. 37, Tidal by Fiona Apple. Incredible debut, just super amazing stuff, kind of all around the board here. Don't really need to add anything. Oh, First Taste. Yeah, The First Taste is my favorite Fiona Apple song at this moment. 36, Animals, just conceptually kind of gorgeous. Like that middle 3-run track is insane with how good it is as an album listening experience, but again, not something I come back to constantly since they're all like 15 minutes long. 35, Blonde on Blonde by Bob Dylan. I think a step up from Highway 61. I think it's a bit longer, but I do think it just has a bit more songs that I really like on it, like I Want You. So also one of the most swag album covers of all time, let's be real here. 34, we have Frank by Amy Winehouse. This was a complete surprise because I was only listening so I could hear Back to Black, but I was very surprised by how great her debut was. Incredible songwriting, good production. I just think it's not as interesting or versatile as we get in something like Back to Black, which we'll talk about, but yeah, incredible debut that I was not expecting. 33, The White Album by the Beatles. I know I said earlier I'm not a huge fan of double albums, and that's the only reason why it's not higher on the list, because there's a lot of stinkers on this thing. Number 9, number 9, number 9. But even without that song, the album still has a lot of stinkers, but it also does have some of their best work on it. 32 is Taboo by Denzel Curry. Definitely the best Denzel Curry album I listened to. Super great songwriting and just some of the most interesting songs, like so many bangers, like Black Balloons, Taboo, Clout Cobain, Sirens, all fantastic tracks. 31, The Color and the Shape by Foo Fighters. Everlong is the greatest grunge song of all time. I'll leave it at that. And 30, rounding out the 4 stars, we have Led Zeppelin, self-titled. Just a classic rock and roll record. Just super good stuff here. Really love it. All right, we are now entering the top 30 along with 4.5 out of 5 stars. So these are all albums that I really loved, okay? I love all of these. So if there's an album that you think is a 10 or a 5-star, I love it. It's just not a 5 for me. 29, Homogenic by Bjork. A lot more interesting than her debut. I do really love a lot more electronic sound of this one with its unique sounds and its tone. It's really good. But it does have Pluto, unfortunately. 28, Thriller by Michael Jackson. I do get the complaint that it feels like a compilation. It has no cohesion, which is true, but it's Thriller. Come on. So many bangers. You can't hate it. But I do think at 27, Off the Wall is a little bit better. While I do think Thriller has a better song track list, I do just think as an album, Off the Wall has more cohesion, has more flow. It is a better album listening experience. 26, Nevermind by Nirvana. It kind of popularized the entire grunge subgenre of rock, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. I mean, Dave Grohl, Kurt Cobain, they went pretty crazy. I mean, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Lithium. It's iconic for a reason. 25, Let It Be by the Beatles. Incredible way to end. I think this album's incredibly underrated, seeing as it has some of their best songs on it. Let It Be, of course, Two of Us, Long and Winding Road. It's an incredible album in my opinion. 24, Blood on the Tracks by Bob Dylan. In my opinion, just his most enjoyable. That's all it comes down to. Obviously, it has good songwriting. I don't really need to say that about Bob Dylan, okay? 23, Echoes of Silence by The Weeknd. If I were to describe The Weeknd's trilogy, like a couple words for each one, the House of Balloons is like the most fun. Like that one, like while it's obviously super sexy, it's not as toxic as Thursday. Thursday is straight toxicity. While I think Echoes of Silence balances it perfectly with its sexiness and grooviness mixing with the toxicity. That's how I think of it. Anyways, great stuff here. It's awesome. 22, Led Zeppelin 4. It's the best one. It has, Black Dog, Stairway to Heaven, some excellent production and songwriting. It's really freaking good. And then we have 21, LP by JPEG Mafia. Super enjoyable, super interesting, super unique, just so good in every aspect. All right, we're now entering the top 20 albums of the summer 2018. Inner Visions by Stevie Wonder. Yeah, number 20. It's super good, obviously, it's Stevie Wonder. What do you want? With a lot of these more popular records, there's nothing I need to say about it that hasn't already been said like a million times. It's Inner Visions by Stevie Wonder. It's great production, great songwriting, great vocals. Boom, next one. 19, Rubber Soul by the Beatles. Coming back to this one a lot more as the summer has gone on. I just really love a lot on this album. Michelle, Girl, In My Life. It's so good. It was obviously the Beatles record that kind of put them in that top tier influence category, because when you look at the first 5 albums, while yeah, they were super popular, I wouldn't really call them influential at that point in their career. And then they made Rubber Soul, and then Revolver, and then Sgt. Pepper's, and it just kept going. So it was like, okay, now blame it on the drugs, okay? That's all you gotta do. All right, this is a hot take. 18, Axis, Bold as Love by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Calling this one my favorite out of their 3 albums is probably a little crazy. I know a lot of people disagree, but in my opinion, this is everything I kind of wanted a Jimi Hendrix album to be. It's the most bold in my opinion. It's the most interesting. It has the best production. It's the most psychedelic. And I honestly just had the best time with it, if I'm being honest with myself. I come back to it the most out of the 3 albums, and that's why it's number 18. 17, I Lay Down My Life For You by JPEG Mafia, his brand new one. I come back to this thing a lot more than I kind of realized it, because good Lord, there are so many songs that come on when I'm like at the gym or in the car, and I'm like, oh man, JPEG Mafia, which album was this one on? And I'm like, oh, I Laid Down My Life For You. Okay. Yeah, that album was actually just kind of a masterpiece, to be honest. 16, Talking Book by Stevie Wonder. Yeah, I think it's a bit better than Inner Visions. I just kind of had a more groovy, more relaxed time with Talking Book than Inner Visions. I just had a better time with Talking Book, to be honest. I think it has some better songs. It's all it boils down to. 15, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill. God. It's amazing. Narratively, conceptually, it's a masterpiece. Songwriting-wise, production, yeah. Only reason it's not higher on the list is it's like an hour and 20 minutes. It's like, I think there's a little bit of fluff that didn't need to be in there. I think it goes on a little too long, personally. Still a masterpiece, though. 14, Back to Black by Amy Winehouse. Another just incredible record. Blew my socks off, if I'm being honest. So many songs I've come back to and have just absolutely been snapping my fingers and wiggling my hips. I'm sorry, guys. It's late. I haven't been sleeping a lot. Yeah, trying to get this done, by the way. I didn't even talk about that. I was very stressed because it was, sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a side tangent here. I think I had probably, maybe 11 days left, and I had 29 albums to go, and I had 11 days left of August. It started from June 1st to August 31st, by the way. That was the goal. And I had 11 days left of August, and I had 29 albums to listen to, so I was listening to at least 2 or 3 a night for like a week. I didn't get a lot of sleep that week. Anyways, Back to Black. R.I.P. Amy Winehouse, super talented artist who was taken from us way too soon. Would have loved to see what she could have done, because her songwriting, she has some of the most versatile, most interesting sounding production, and she's just an incredible artist. Really sad about her passing. 13, House of Balloons by The Weeknd. It's so incredible. It's so groovy. It's sexy. It's just ear candy that you just keep chewing on, man. It's so good. House of Balloons, the song is like probably my favorite Weeknd song. It's just like, it has one of the best beats like of all time. It's amazing. 12, When the Pawn by Fiona Apple. How this didn't make Apple Music's top 100 list is beyond me, but aside from that, everything about this album is damn near flawless. This is a very near 5-star record for me. I do think there's a couple tracks, a couple moments that don't stand out to me like some of the 5 stars I gave, but this is an incredible album. Absolutely adore it, and I come back to it all the time. 11, Remain in Light by Talking Heads. Forward-thinking, complex, incredible songwriting, and a cohesion. The album's flow from start to finish is one of the best flows of an album I have ever heard. The way it starts and the way it finishes is incredible. The way the album gets from point A to B. Amazing stuff here. Super good production. I love this one so much, and especially because if you guys remember, the last Talking Heads album placed at 61. At their debut, placed at number 61. And then I was not expecting to love this one, and then it still blew my socks off. Love it. And now we're entering the top 10. Number 10, Joni Mitchell, Blue. One of the greatest singer-songwriter albums of all time. One of the most therapeutic albums I have ever listened to. I listened to it on the beach, just staring at the ocean, and it was a moment I will cherish for the rest of my life. Gorgeous, incredible. It's Joni Mitchell, frickin' Blue. River. What more do I gotta say, bro? Like, God. And with that being said, we are officially entering 5-star records. Now, this does not mean 10 out of 10. For me, a 5-star is a 9.5 to a 10. I'll call out my 10 out of 10s when we get to them. But starting with number 9, Purple Rain by Prince. I mean, simply just one of the best pop records of all time. Let's be real here. I mean, so many songs that are just so good. I mean, you get the incredible, explosive opening, Let's Go Crazy. Oh my God, it goes so hard. I mean, Take Me With You, Purple Rain. I mean, Baby I'm a Star, I Would Die For You. All just straight boner jams. And then you get like the crown prince of them all, no pun intended. When Doves Cry is like a top 5 song of all time. Genuinely a masterpiece of a record, and we're at number 9. Moving on to number 8, Abbey Road by the Beatles. I know it's oversaid, it's overplayed, and this is my entire top 10 here is a very cold list. Like, there's no hot takes here. You're not gonna find one where it's like, but, I mean, what do you want me to do? They're all masterpieces. Abbey Road is, again, it's been oversaid. It genuinely just is one of the best produced albums of all time. What do you want me to do? George Harrison really just pulled through on this one and was like, hey guys, you guys dissed me and made me feel like garbage. I'm gonna make some of the best songs of all time on here. I'm gonna make some of the most popular songs of all time on here because I don't really like Here Comes the Sun all that much. Actually, I do. I love Here Comes the Sun. It's just not like top 5 on the record for me. But good Lord, this album is so good. It's so good. Only reason it's not higher and why it's not my favorite Beatles record, if you're keeping track of the Beatles, you'll know which one's number 1 for the Beatles. But the only reason it's not my favorite Beatles is because I think the back leg of the album, once you get to like the quick kind of minute and a half long songs, they faded with memory, while every song on, okay, you guys know it's Revolver. Every song on Revolver is extremely like different and unique and memorable. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some great songs in like the minute and a half long range, like Sun King. Sun King is probably one of my favorites on the album. But I mean, when you look at it also compared to like Something, Come Together, Oh Darling, I Want You, She's So Heavy. I mean, I don't know, I don't really remember Mean Mr. Mustard all that much. 7, In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson. Another one of the most therapeutic album listening experiences of my life, where I was just in awe at like how good the music was. Because I was feeling really burnt out when I listened to this one, because again, I was listening to albums a lot to make this happen. I was feeling burnt out, and also I had just come off of like a 4 artist streak of not really loving any of the records. It was like a lot of mid albums. And so I was kind of burnt out on music, and then I listened to this and I like fell in love with music again. Definitely my favorite prog rock record of all time. It started it. Again, the fact this isn't in Apple Music's top 100 is insane to me. It's simply a masterpiece. 6 is Grace by Jeff Buckley. Incredible production, super beautiful stuff here. He delivers some of the most vulnerable and just most incredible songs and songwriting in any album ever. Another artist that we lost just way too soon. Super sad, super tragic. Rest in peace. But at least we did get like one of the best albums of all time from it. So we are now entering top 5. We are in top 5. Starting with number 5, What's Going On by your boy Marvin Gaye. So spiritual, so groovy. God, again, it's such a cold take. This is obviously one of the greatest albums ever made. What do I have to say about it that hasn't already been said? It's Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. Duh, it's amazing. It's a near 10 out of 10. I don't even need this, I know the rest of the list. Okay, number 4, Vespertine by Bjork. We are in the 10 out of 10s, ladies and gentlemen. I give Vespertine a 10 out of 10. Every song is gorgeous. The way that Bjork is able to mix kind of her gorgeous vocals and songwriting with her super unique, super versatile electronic sound is beyond me how it's even possible. And yet it's one of the most cohesive, one of the most vulnerable, one of the best, kind of romance albums of all time. It is amazing. It has such an amazing atmosphere. You really just feel cold listening to this. It has such a winter atmosphere, and it's amazing. I love this one so much. Number 3, Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. I know I have ragged on double albums, but it's Songs in the Key of frickin' Life, dude. This was also what ended this whole journey. This was album number 100, and I couldn't believe it. I wasn't really expecting to give this one a 5-star because, again, I don't like double albums, but when every single song flies by and the album itself flies by, this did not feel like an hour and 45 minutes. This felt like a 45-minute album to me. Every song was just gorgeous with its production. It's kind of full of life. Like, this is one of the most like purposeful, like fulfilling, astounding, unbelievable albums where it's just like, this is real. How is this even real? How? And it's just incredible from start to finish. Number 2. Also, I want to point out that obviously things might change because there's some recency and then there's stuff in the beginning of the summer. Obviously the stuff in the beginning of the summer, I've had more time to re-listen to a lot of the songs and even an album or two. So the top 2 here, I listened in the first 10. And then the last 2, the last 2 albums, Vespertine and Songs in the Key of Life, the other 2 10 out of 10s I gave, I listened in the last 10 albums. So things could change around, but number 2 right now is The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie. Narratively, it is so satisfying, again, with its flow and cohesion. It's incredible. Just like the glam rock record for the ages. I know some people might be thrown off by his vocals, but I think they're gorgeous in this album. They're super weird and zany, and I love it. I mean, every single song, I could tell you a lot about them. Again, because I've had a lot more time than stuff like Vespertine and Songs in the Key of Life. I've had a lot more time to digest this album, and holy moly, it's so good, man. I thought maybe this one would maybe grow off of me with some of the songs, but no. If anything, some of the songs that I didn't love on my first listen, I have grown to love even more, like It Ain't Easy, like Moon Age Daydream, like Hang On to Yourself. And then there's also songs where it's like, I liked them at first, but now they're some of my all-time favorites, like Soul Love, like Ziggy Stardust. It's like, oh my God, the instrumentals, it's all gorgeous and I love it. And number one, I've talked about it many times throughout this video. I mean, it shouldn't really be a surprise to anyone. If you know me in person, you would know that this would be coming. Revolver by the Beatles is not only my favorite album that I listened to this summer, but it has officially, after 3 years, replaced To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar as my favorite album of all time. I love everything about this album. I could make a 20-minute essay, analysis video on why it is my favorite of all time. But basically all three members vocally give all of their best performances. Ringo's at the top of his game, in my opinion. It's versatile, it's bold, it's risk-taking, it's incredibly enjoyable and so much fun. The songwriting, For No One, is the best written song I have ever heard in my entire life, and I don't care what you say. I love Revolver so much. That's essentially all it boils down to. Every song on here I love. Even Love You Too. I know a lot of people hate Love You Too. That is actually a perfect song in my opinion, and I will not tolerate any more hate for that song because I love it, okay? But yeah, Revolver, top one of all time. Get that trash out of here, To Pimp a Butterfly. You're garbage compared. I'm just kidding, obviously. But, oh, I'm done. Sweet. There we go. All 100 albums ranked and kind of reviewed, not really. Hopefully this video isn't more than 45 minutes. I was expecting it to be 45 minutes, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm recording this exactly on August 31st. You guys probably won't see this for another week, maybe, just because I'm gonna put off editing this because it's gonna take me hours. But yeah, that's it. If you guys want some more music stuff, let me know. I love it. I love music now. I think what I want to do is I want to rank the Beatles in depth. I actually want to make a ranking video. I want to go over the vinyls I have because I've been collecting a lot of vinyls recently. And I want to go back through Apple Music's top 100 list and give my own commentary on it now that I've listened to a lot more. So yeah, we'll probably do some of that. But for the meantime, that's all we have. I am going to be making a what I watched in this month because I did watch a couple great movies here that I need to talk about. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. Taxman.